Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Puri Rajakacharya Ashtotar Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna and welcome to Sri Caitanya Caritamrita with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Thursday, December 26th, 2024 in New York. And today we're starting with Caitanya Caritamrita, Adi Leela, Chapter 11, the expansions of Lord Nityananda, And today we're beginning with text number 7. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Asankhya Anantagana Ke Karuganana Apana Shodite Kahi Mukhya Mukhya Jana. These branches and sub-branches of devotees are innumerable and unlimited. Who could count them? For my personal purification, I shall try to enumerate only the most prominent among them. Purport: one should not write books or essays on transcendental subject matter for material name, fame, or profit. Transcendental literature must be written under the direction of a superior authority because it is not meant for material purposes. If one tries to write under superior authority, he becomes purified. All Krishna conscious activities should be undertaken for personal purification, apana shodite, not for material gain. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Here Prabhupada is giving some practical advice or instruction on the qualifications for writing transcendental literature. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself is known to have undertaken the writing of Sri Caitanya Caritamrita at the request of devotees whom he considered his superiors. And also, yes, he asked for the blessings of Krishna before beginning to write this literature. So it's not an ordinary job. The usual stimuli or impetuses or motives for writing, as Prabhupada lists here, material name, fame, or profit, they need to be absent from the project of writing transcendental literature, because this is, well, he says it's transcendental. This is how the knowledge of Krishna comes down and has been coming down since forever through the parampara system. And that requires purity. It requires tremendous amounts of purity. So as Prabhupada himself is saying here, if one tries to write under superior authority, he becomes purified. So it's the writing itself is a purifying activity. And as are any activities in Krishna consciousness performed under superior authority. Last night in our Srimad Bhagavatam class, we were reading about how Narada is instructing Dhruva to worship a form of the Lord. And Prabhupada amplifies that by saying that one cannot worship the deity of the Lord by one's whims. You can't just offer the Lord anything. And similarly here, he's saying that one can't write with polluted materialistic motives. You have to be guided and blessed by superior authority. And we'd certainly like to hear from you, Mara, since you're engaged in so many writing projects under the authority of Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashchate Shatarani. I'm reminded of a rabbi I met who had written a little bit of a new agey commentary on the book of Ecclesiastes. I'd sought him out in my travels. And he was a youngish fellow and very forthright that this is what I do for a living. This is what keeps food on the table. When money starts running low, I write another book. And he was very forthright, or we would say shameless about it. It was just you write a scriptural commentary just to make money. So this is, and this can happen in any tradition, that let me write something and make some money, or let me write something and become, sort of position myself as a famous person because I've written this book or that book. These contaminations are there. One can be attracted to the idea of being a famous author, of being of getting a good income, or what have you. So the devotee has to be pure in these things. It's not for our own sense gratification, but it's to satisfy our superiors. That was Prabhupada's mood. It was for the satisfaction of his spiritual master or for the benefit of others, not for his own any separate purpose. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions here before moving on? We're at the beginning of this chapter. Text number 8 is next. Ross Prabhu, would you like to read text number 8?
Yes, but I didn't hear which chapter we're on when you said it.
Oh, sorry. We're on Adi Lila, chapter 11, text number 8 now.
Okay. Thanks. Shri Virabhadra Goswami Skanda Mahasaka Tanra Upasaka Yata Asankhya Taraleka. Translation. After Nityananda Prabhu, the greatest branch is Virabhadra Goswami, who also has innumerable branches and sub-branches. It is not possible to describe them all. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya, Virabhadra Goswami was the direct son of Srila Nityananda Prabhu and a disciple of Janava Devi. His real mother was Vasudha. In the Gaura Gonadesh Dipika 67, he is mentioned as an incarnation of Sirodakshai Vishnu. Therefore, Virabhadra Goswami is non-different from Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In a village of the name Jamatapura, in the district of Hooghly, Virabhadra Goswami had a disciple named Yadunathacharya, who had two daughters, a real daughter named Srimati and a foster daughter named Narayani. Both these daughters married, and they are mentioned in the Bhakti Ratnakara 13th wave. Virabhadra Goswami had three disciples who are celebrated as his sons, Gopijana Vallabha, Ramakrishna, and Ramachandra. The youngest, Ramachandra, belonged to the Sandilya dynasty and had the surname Bhaktyavala. He established his family at Kadadaha, and its members are known as the Goswamis of Kadadaha. The eldest disciple, Gopijana Vallabha, was a resident of a village known as Lata, near the Mankara railway station in the district of Burdwan. The second, Ramakrishna, lived near Malada, in a village named Gayeshapura. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur notes that since these three disciples belonged to different gotras or dynasties and also had different surnames and lived in different places, it is not possible to accept them as real sons of Virabhadra Goswami. Ramachandra had 4 sons, of whom the eldest was Radhamadava, whose third son was named Yadavendra. Yadavendra's son was Nandakishora. His son was Nidhi Krishna. His son was Chaitanya Chanda. His son was Krishna Mohana. His son was Jagan Mohana. His son was Rajanath. And his son was Shammalala Goswami. This is the genealogical table given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for the descendants of Virabhadra Goswami.
Thank you for reading. Any thoughts, questions, comments here? No? Maharaj, would you care to say anything here?
Nothing here.
All right. Priti Purnamadavi Devi, would you like to read some verses starting with text number 9? Is that possible?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can read. ईश्वर हयकाय महाभागवत वेद धर्मातीत हना वेद धर्मरता. Translation. Although Veerbhadra Gosai was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he presented himself as a great devotee. And although the Supreme Godhead is transcendental to all Vedic injunctions, he strictly followed the Vedic rituals. Antare Ishwar Cheshta Bahire Nirdamba Chaitanya Bhakti Mandape Teno Mula Stamba. Translation. He is the main pillar in the hall of devotional service erected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He knew within himself that he acted as the Supreme Lord Vishnu, but externally he was prideless. अद्यापि यहाँ कृपा महिमा हयते चैतन्य नित्यानंद गाय सकल जगते. Translation. It is by the glorious mercy of Sri Veerbhadra Gosai that people all over the world now have the chance to chant the names of Chaitanya and Nityanand. Stehi Veerbhadra Gosairo Laino Sharana Yahar Prasade Hai Abhishta Purana. Translation. I therefore take shelter of the lotus feet of Veerbhadra Gosai, so that by his mercy my great desire to write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita will be properly guided. Prabhuji, should I wait or should I continue?
You may please continue reading if you like.
Okay, thank you. Shri Ramadas Ar Gadadhar Das Chaitanya Gosair Bhakta Rahe Tanra Pashan. Translation. 2 devotees of Lord Chaitanya, named Sri Ram Das and Gadadhar Das, always lived with Sri Veerbhadra Gosai. Purport. Sri Ram Das, later known as Abhiram Thakur, was one of the 12 Gopalas, or cowherd boyfriends of Sri Nityanand Prabhu. The Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 126 states that Sri Ram Das was formerly Sri Dama. In the Bhakti Ratnakar, 4th wave, there is a description of Sri Abhiram Thakur. By the order of Sri Nityanand Prabhu, Abhiram Thakur became a great acharya and preacher of the Chaitanya cult of devotional service. He was a very influential personality, and non-devotees were very much afraid of him. Empowered by Sri Nityanand Prabhu, he was always in ecstasy and was extremely kind to all fallen souls. It is said that if he offered obeisances to any stone other than a Shaligram Shila, it would immediately fracture. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, 10 miles southwest of Charn Padanga railway station on the narrow gauge railway line from Howrah in Calcutta to Amta, a village in the Hooghly district, is a small town named Khanakula Krishnanagar, Krish, Krishnanagar, where the temple in which Abhiram Thakur worshipped is situated. During the rainy season, when this area is inundated with water, people must go there by another line, which is now called the South Eastern Railway. On the line, there is a station named Kolagata, from which one has to go by steamer to Ranichakka. 7.5 miles north of Ranichakka is Khanakula. The temple where Abhiram Thakur worshipped is situated in Krishnanagar, which is near the Kula bank of Khana, Dwarkeshwara river. Therefore, this place is celebrated as Khanakula Krishnanagar. Outside of the temple is a bakula tree. This place is known as Siddha Bakula Kunj. It is said that when Abhiram Thakur came there, he sat down under this tree. In Khanakula Krishnanagar, there is a big fair held every year in the month of Chaitra, on the Krishna Saptami, the seventh day of the dark moon. Many hundreds and thousands of people gather for this festival. The temple where Abhiram Thakur worshipped has a very old history. The deity in the temple is known as Gopinath. There are many Sevite families living near the temple. It is said that Abhiram Thakur had a whip, and that whoever he touched with it would immediately become an elevated devotee of Krishna. Among his many disciples, Sriman Srinivas Acharya was the most famous and the most dear, but it is doubtful that he was his initiated disciple.
Thank you so much for reading. Any questions, comments, or other thoughts from this reading?
I had one thought when I read the previous verse, that because of Sri Veerbhadra Acharya, the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu were known everywhere. So when we visited Mayapur this year, my husband kept repeatedly telling me that why people don't know much about Mayapur. It's only in devotee circle that people know who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Nityananda Prabhu, but not otherwise. So yesterday I was having a talk with my mother. So she told me, now it's like around 45 years back, she told me that in her textbooks, there were chapters about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. I was very surprised, and she was also telling me that she also had chapters from Srimad Bhagavatam. But when in my age, I never read about those chapters in my school books. Those were completely removed. So and now also it is a need of the hour to awaken people about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu. Even in students, there should be some in the school curriculum. We should have the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu propagated, so that at least people were they're aware that these personalities are there, about their glories at least, even if though they may not be able to take full-fledged to the path of Krishna consciousness. So that was one of my thoughts. And there was one question from this, but I'll ask later. Maharaj, you can please comment. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mata Maharaj. Would you care to say anything here?
Well, the first thing is just that there's so many great devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, and there's so much to be said about each of them. We hardly know very much, but so much could be said about such great devotees. Also, here it's of interest that Srinivas Acharya was said to have been a disciple of Abhiram Thakur, but it's doubtful that he was his initiated disciple. So indicates something, that initiation is not always the most prominent feature of the disciple's spiritual life. Sometimes the initiating guru may be most prominent. Sometimes instructing guru may be more prominent. It depends on Krishna, finally, how these things go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Praveen Krishna Prabhu says, the birthplace of Virabhadra Goswami is said to be at Kardaha. His deities are still worshipped there. And he says, the temple of Kanakul is very big and beautiful. One can still visit this beautiful temple today. Thank you for that, Prabhu. Saraswati Mataji, would you like to read our next verses, text 14 to 15? And yeah, that has it.
Hare Krishna, pranams Param Pujya Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Text 14 to 15. Nityanande Ajna Dilaya Bigodayati Mahaprabhu Edui Dilatan Rasate Ate Vedui Gana Dunhara Ganana Madhava Vasudeva Goshere Vivarna. Translation. When Nityananda Prabhu was ordered to go to Bengal to preach, these two devotees, Sri Ram Das and Gadadhar Das, were ordered to go with him. Thus, they are sometimes counted among the devotees of Lord Caitanya and sometimes among the devotees of Lord Nityananda. Similarly, Madhava Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh belong to both groups of devotees simultaneously. Purport. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anu Bhashya, there is a place near Danhata, near the Agra Dvipa railway station in Patuli in the district of Burdwan, where the deity of Sri Gopinathji is still situated. This deity accepted Govinda Ghosh as his father. Even until today, the deity performs the Shraddh ceremony on the anniversary of the death of Govinda Ghosh. The temple of this deity is managed by the Rajvansh family of Krishna Nagara, whose members are descendants of Raja Krishna Chandra. Every year in the month of Vaishak, when there is a Bardola ceremony, this Gopinath deity is taken to Krishna Nagara. The ceremony is performed with 11 other deities, and then Sri Gopinathji is brought back to the temple in Agra Dvipa. Om Jnanantimirindasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Shri Guruve Namaha. Don't really have too much to add, but from what I recall, Madhava Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh are brothers, and my memory serves me, I think Vasudev Ghosh in the Krishna Leela is one of the Ashtasakis, Sudevi. I'm not 100% sure, but that sort of comes to mind. And it's indicated how there are some devotees that are classified as devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as well as Lord Nityananda. Can't think of some immediately, but I know that there is an overlap. And also we hear how deities are sometimes, they accept a very advanced devotee as their parent, and in which case they also perform the Shraddh ceremony. My mother had a distant aunt, and I know she worshipped her little Bal Gopal as a child, and And one of her desires was that when she passed away, the Shraddh ceremony would only be performed by her little Lalji, a deity. And I remember my mother telling me about that even though there were other relatives, this was her desire, and of course her wishes were fulfilled. So it's not so peculiar. Of course, we know that advanced devotees have very personal relationships with their deities in whichever rasa. And also, of course, I don't think this deity, Gopinathji deity, is the same one as, well, it's definitely not the same as Shakshi Gopal, but we know the story of Shakshi Gopal, how because of the disagreement or seemingly disagreement between the old Brahmana and the young Brahmana, and the promise that was made, and which Shakshi Gopal was the witness, how for the sake of both of those devotees, he became a witness and observed the whole process of being a witness, whereby nothing can deter you from speaking the truth, regardless of whatever politics have taken place. So here that there is a beautiful example of a deity who, for the sake of two devotees, became a Shakshi. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mata. Maharaj, would you care to say something here?
I don't think I have much to add here, except that these things are there, that there are pastimes performed with by various deities or associated with various deities, and these become temple traditions, or temple traditions, that the as we find here, that the ceremony is still performed with 11 other deities. So these things are going on. Lord Jagannath has his Rath Yatra festival, and there are other deities in this way who have particular pastimes. Sakshi Gopal was mentioned, and yes, I'll stop there. Hare Krishna.
Kshirachara Gopinath.
Yes, Kshirachara Gopinath, the famous thief.
One might be curious.
Who is that deity who turns around because there's a lower class devotee to whom he wants to give darshan, and the priests are not accommodating? Maybe someone will remember.
Praveen says Udupi Krishna.
Udupi Krishna, yes. Thank you.
One might be curious to know exactly how that began to take place, this pastime of the Lord as in his deity form, performing the Shraddha ceremony for a devotee whom he considers his father. You know, what the logistics are would be very interesting to know. There's several things in the chat here. Ross Prabhu says, Hare Krishna. If the initiating guru is not very prominent in the disciple's life, is the role of Shiksha Guru still to help the disciple follow their Diksha Guru, or does it change in that case?
It should always be, we expect that it will always be in the same line. The Diksha Guru may not be very prominent, but if he's a devotee of Krishna, then everything is going in the same direction. The Shiksha Guru and Diksha Guru are both manifestations of Krishna, meant to help the disciple come closer to Krishna and ultimately develop love for Krishna, go back to Godhead. So one may become more prominent, another may become more prominent, but the mission remains the same. If the initiating guru is not a Vaishnava, then he's just to be rejected That's a different story. But when the initiating gurus of Vaishnava, even though a instructing guru may become more prominent, there's oneness in purpose. Hare Krishna.
Jai, thank you, Raj. And Praveen Krishna Prabhu helpfully posts a photograph of the Shripad of Sri Abhiram Gopal Thakur, Kanakul, and Krishna Nagar, which, if you double click on it, you can get a larger image of. It's certainly a largish, nice looking temple there. And Preeti Purnamadavi Devi says, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, is it still possible to see magics of mercy, like mentioned in the previous purport, such as Abhiram Thakur had a whip, and that whoever he touched with it would immediately become an elevated devotee of Krishna?
Such things are possible, certainly, but Srila Prabhupada gives them less importance because the tendency is that we become all wrapped up in miracles, and the miracles become a matter of false propaganda. These wonderful, miraculous things happen, and it just becomes a mental concoction and nonsense, and people become avatars, and all whatnot goes on. So Prabhupada gave more importance to the science of Krishna. Prabhupada gave more importance to the science of Krishna because these other things can be sensationalized and misunderstood, exploited, or the people can be exploited by miracle stories. So Prabhupada gave more importance to the science of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If I could just amplify and attempt to extend what you said, Maharaj, I was thinking how when Prabhupada would be told by someone, especially in India, he would be praised that you are a miracle worker or something of the sort. Prabhupada would simply customarily gesture to his Western disciples and say, "This is my miracle." Rabbi Krishna Prabhu offers some background into the story of this deity who accepted Govinda Ghosh as his father. He says, the story goes that Govinda Ghosh stopped worshiping when his son died. The deity asked, "Why you stopped? Who shall do my Shraddha?" And then he went on to say, "I shall." And so when he left his body, the first Agradweep Shraddha festival began. It is a big mela every year. Hare Krishna. And Preeti Purnamadavi Devi says, thank you. So we'll read some more. Text 16. Ramadasa Mukhya Shaka Sakya Prema Rashi Sola Sangira Kasta Ye Tuli Kaila Vangshi. Ramdas, one of the chief branches, was full of fraternal love of Godhead. He made a flute from a stick with 16 knots. Gadadhara Dasa Gopi Bhave Purnananda Yanra Ghare Dana Keli Kaila Nityananda. Srila Gadadhar Das was always fully absorbed in ecstasy as a gopi. In his house, Lord Nityananda enacted the drama Dana Keli. Sri Madhava Gosha Mukhya Kirtaniya Gane Nityananda Prabhu Nritya Kariyanra Gane. Sri Madhava Ghosh was a principal performer of kirtan. While he sang, Nityananda Prabhu danced. Vasudeva Gite Kari Prabhura Varnane Kasta Pasana Drave Yahara Shavane. When Vasudeva Ghosh described Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda while performing kirtan, even wood and stone would melt upon hearing it. Murari Chaitanya Dasera Aulaukika Lila Vyagra Gale Chada Mare Sarpa Sane Kela. There were many extraordinary activities performed by Murari, the great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes in his ecstasy, he would slap the cheek of a tiger, and sometimes he would play with a venomous snake. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, Murari Chaitanya Das was born in the village of Sar Brindavanpura, which is situated about 2 miles from the Galashi station on the Burdwan line. When Murari Chaitanya Das came to Navadvip, he settled in the village of Modadruma, or Mamagachi Gram. At that time, he became known as Sharanga, or Saranga Murari Chaitanya Das. The descendants of his family still reside in Saryarpata. In the Chaitanya Bhagavata, Antyakanda, chapter 5, there is the following statement. Murari Chaitanya Das had no material bodily features, for he was completely spiritual. Thus he would sometimes chase after tigers in the jungle and treat them just like cats and dogs. He would slap the cheek of a tiger and take a venomous snake on his lap. He had no fear for his external body, of which he was completely forgetful. He could spend all 24 hours of the day chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra or speaking about Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. Sometimes he would remain submerged in water for 2 or 3 days, but he would feel no bodily inconvenience. Thus, he behaved almost like stone or wood, but he always used his energy in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. No one can describe his specific characteristics, but it is understood that wherever Murari Chaitanya Das passed, whoever was present would be enlightened in Krishna consciousness simply by the atmosphere he created. Such an extraordinary personality. Maharaj, any comments on Murari Chaitanya Das?
What can I say? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Just like stone or wood. I should ask Maharaj, because I don't know when else I'd get the opportunity, but we were hearing of the kirtan singing of Vasudev Ghosh or Madhava Ghosh, and when they would describe the activities of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, even stone or wood would melt. And I know it's not the practice of the Vaishnavacharyas to use unnecessary hyperbole to describe events. So how are we to understand that stone would actually melt? Have you ever heard or contemplated this?
There, I don't know if I should hazard thoughts about these matters. There is poetic scope for what we might call hyperbole. And then again, there's also scope for literalness. So, of course, any scholar would say this is simply a poetic statement, but such things are also possible. So I'll keep out of it.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Being Krishna Prabhu says, the Mamagachi temple is maintained by the Gaudiya Math today. One can have darshan of Vasudev Datta's and Murari's deities. The temple is 30 minutes from Navadvip town. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And Saraswati Mata, please go ahead.
I can't ascertain whether this is more myth or not, but I read somewhere that, well, there are different ragas that evoke different emotions and even have an impact on non-animated elements. And one of the things I remember is in Akbar's, he was said to have 9 gems, and one of them was the singer Tansen. And it was said that one of his political rivals, or for singing, shouldn't really say political, wanted to put him in a very embarrassing position and asked him to sing the Deepak Rag, which is apparently the hardest raga to sing, and it's supposed to generate so much heat that the singer dies, melts away, his skin melts away. That's how much heat is generated. And I read this a long time ago, so I don't remember the specifics, but I think that Tansen, he was quite worried and didn't know how he could get out of this challenge that was thrown at him. It wasn't that he didn't know how to sing the raga, it was just that he was worried that he'd die. But, where it says the wood and stone would melt, there's also a pastime of Lord Krishna when he heard Narada Muni singing his glories on his veena. It's said that sort of like he was melting, and the water, the perspiration that sort of came from Krishna when he was in ecstasy from hearing this. That is one of the sources of the Ganges. So I don't. So for me, I don't think that's impossible that, if somebody who's a mundane person can sing these ragas and, make rain appear, or if he sings the deer would come to him, then of course this is a transcendental sound, the kirtana, that it would make wood and stone melt. I personally don't. I think that could happen. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you. We still have a little bit of time. Text 21, Ross Prabhu, would you like to read our text 21?
Yes. Nityananda Ganayata Sabarajaka Shringa Vetra Gopavesha Shirasiki Paka. Translation. All the associates of Lord Nityananda were formerly cowherd boys in Rajbhumi. Their symbolic representations were the horns and sticks they carried, their cowherd dress, and the peacock plumes on their heads. Purport. Janava Mata is also within the list of Lord Nityananda's followers. She is described in the Pura Ganesh Dipika 66 as Ananga Manjari of Vrindavan. All the devotees who are followers of Janava Mata are counted within the list of Sri Nityananda Prabhu's devotees.
You're welcome to continue. Read another one if you like, another 2.
Raghunatha Vaidya Upadhyaya Mahasaya Yanhara Darsane Krishna Prema Bhakti Hai. Translation. The physician Raghunatha, also known as Upadhyaya, was so great a devotee that simply by seeing him one would awaken his dormant love of Godhead. Sundarananda Nityananda Saka Marma Ganra Samge Nityananda Kare Raj Narma. Translation. Sundarananda, another branch of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, was Lord Nityananda's most intimate servant. Lord Nityananda Prabhu perceived the life of Rajbhumi in his company. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhasya in the Caitanya Bhagavat, Antyakanda, Chapter 5, it is stated that Sundar Ananda was an ocean of love of Godhead and the chief associate of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. In the Gaura Ganodesh Dipika 127, he is stated to have been Sudama in Krishna Leela. Thus he was one of the 12 cowherd boys who came down with Balaram when he descended as Sri Nityananda Prabhu. The holy place where Sundar Ananda lived is situated in the village known as Maheshapura, which is about 14 miles east of the Majdia railway station of the Eastern Railway from Calcutta to Burdwan. This place is within the district of Jessore, which is now in Bangladesh. Among the relics of this village, only the old residential house of Sundarananda still exists. At the end of the village resides a Bala Sudha Vaishnava, and all the buildings, both the temples and the house, appear to be newly constructed. In Maheshapura, there are deities of Sri Radhavallabha and Sri Radha Ramana. Near the temple is a small river of the name Vetravati. Sundar Ananda Prabhu was a Naishtika brahmachari. He never married in his life. Therefore, he had no direct descendants except his disciples, but the descendants of his family still reside in the village known as Mangaladihi in the district of Birbhum. In that same village is a temple of Balaram, and the deity there is regularly worshipped. The original deity of Maheshpura, Radhavallabha, was taken by the Saidabad Goswamis of Berhampur, and since the present deities were installed, a Zamindar family of Maheshpura has looked after their worship. On the full moon day of the month of Magha, January to February, the anniversary of Sundar Ananda's disappearance is regularly celebrated, and people from the neighboring areas gather together to observe this festival.
Jai, thank you for reading. Any thoughts, questions, comments? No? Maharaj, anything from your side? Hare Krishna.
Anything from me?
All right, thank you. And we have reached the end of another hour. I was going to see whether Saraswati Mata would like to lead us in Kirtan. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवृजकाचार्यास्तो श्रीमते श्री भक्तिवेदांता स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवृजकाचार्यास्तो श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांता सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। आनंद कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री गंगा मैया की जय। श्री जमुना मैया की जय। श्री तुलसी देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति महारानी की जय। सामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द assembled devotees. Gora Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Mataji. And in the chat, Preeti Purna Madhavi Devi says, festivals are a great way to commemorate the different branches of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. Indeed, thank you, Hare Krishna. And thank you everyone for being here, for your participation, listening, commenting. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai.
Pavita Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Wow. Hare Krishna.